All right. Welcome, everyone, and welcome, Carl.
Thank you.
So I'd like to welcome Carl Danneels with us today. Carl is a senior Agile coach with quite an impressive experience. When you check his resume on LinkedIn, you can see the first 3 items, and then you need to click see 47 additional experience. So quite an extensive background. You started in the telco industry, I saw, and then you focused on Agile, and today you're gonna talk about your experience as a senior Agile coach and about your book, about the 12 principles of personal agility. We're looking forward to that. So I'm not gonna make it long, but without further ado, please join me in welcoming Carl among us today.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I wanna pick up indeed on something you said. I do have a bit of a track record with respect to Agile. Actually, I started with Agile in 2008. That's already 15 years ago. And I have some white hair, some gray hair. So that means that before that I did other stuff, and I was project manager at the time. Using an agile, not an agile approach, a waterfall approach. But at a certain point in time in 2008, I thought, like, every time and again I start with a new customer, I need to customize this PMBOK. That was a thing that was called then the PMBOK at the time of where I got my PMP certification. And I thought, but this is silly. I mean, I'm customizing such a book, and actually I only need part of what is in that book. And then I encountered Agile, and I saw pretty quickly that that was the way to go. So for 15 years right now, I have been working in Agile. The thing I'm going to be presenting this evening, it's not actually about Agile in companies and business. I hope you understood that, and I hope that I see nobody running away right now. So I guess the message came across pretty clearly. And I've written a book. Indeed, I've written a book, and it's called Living the Agile Way. So, and it's all about how you can apply Agile and Lean in your own life, because I do believe that a lot of these practices that we apply at our customers, that we can also apply it for our own lives. I actually use this book, the content of the book and the knowledge I build around that when I am consulting companies. Because yes, indeed, I'm still consulting companies. I'm a consultant for corporate companies, SMEs, and most of the time I do Agile transformations. But very often people in the teams, well, they are not versed yet in Agile. And one of the nice things that you could do together with those people is show them how they can apply Agile in their own lives, so that you don't necessarily need to give a training to them which is focused only on their own company and how you should apply it in a company. But I can teach those things so that they see the benefit of it to apply in their own lives. And sometimes you also come across people that have some issues, not only at work, but privately. And also in those cases, sometimes the Agile and Lean principles can be very helpful for those people. So I told you a little bit about myself, but what I'm actually interested in as well is who is the audience and who are you and what are you doing? I understood that most of you know what Agile is, right? Who is a little bit less experienced in Agile? You sneeze, so that means you. Okay, so that's good. So you know what Agile is. In the presentation that I'm going to give, and it's not only a presentation, I want to do it in an interactive way as well. You might say, like, okay, I know this, I've come across this, I have some experience. So there's not a lot of novelty in this presentation. That is very much possible. The thing is, you should ask yourself, have I already applied this practice, this technique in my own life? I'm going to give you an example. You very probably know the 5 whys. You have a problem, you have an issue, and you ask 5 times, what is it all about? What is the reason? And you try to identify the root cause. How many times did you do that in your personal life? If you're really I see a hand raising, or how many times did you apply that in your own life? Ask these questions, the 5 whys, and get to a root cause of why you're confronted every time and again with the same problem in your private life. I'm going to ask you the following question. It's New Year, it's one of the last days of the first month of 2023. Who has made New Year's resolutions of all of you sitting here? Come on, raise your hand if you did that. Okay, that's not the majority, and this is what I mostly see, because what do people say? They tell me, why should I be doing these resolutions around New Year? Because what is special about New Year, actually? Why should I do them around New Year? I do them around New Year as well, because I think it's a nice time to take a bit of holidays, like 1 week, 2 weeks, to reminisce and to look back on all the things that happened the past year, and try to to formulate some things you would like to do the next year. I don't know if that is the case for you. So, but this is not a surprise that most of you say, like, I didn't make any New Year resolutions. But I have another question for you. Do you make any resolutions another time of the year? When something, let's say, important, something impacting happens, do you do something like that? Birthdays, for example, yeah. Or if something strikes you, if you're I don't know, if a good friend is very ill, for example, or if you're in a divorce, that can happen. So most of the time, yes, I get a message like, no, I don't do New Year resolutions, but most of the people, when they are encountering something important, they do try to plan ahead. They do try to mitigate for what they encounter. They do try to improve their lives. And this is not only for the people, because you see here a Happy New Year, inspiring principles for a successful 2023. It's not only for the people that make New Year resolutions, it's also for other people that have a lot of challenges, more or less, during the year. Okay, anybody know why 2 weeks ago the Monday was called Blue Monday? Anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
It was a marketing push. Was designed to sell something. I don't remember what was the product.
Yeah.
Something like that. Marketing.
That's possible. Was there marketing behind that? It's possible. But you know why it's called Blue Monday?
The depressing day of the year.
Huh?
The
most depressing day of the year. And why is it depressing, Blue Monday? It is depressing because, well, it's not actually academic science, so you need to take that with a pinch of salt. But it is said that on this Monday, so 2 weeks ago, that most of the people, like 51% of the people that made New Year resolutions already failed. That's why it's called Blue Monday. Another reason, it's a Monday. It's also a Monday today. How do you feel? Maybe you feel okay, huh? But most of the people feel better on a Friday than a Monday. So that's another reason. It's still cold. It is cold here. It's cold in a lot of places here in Europe. And so those are 3 important reasons. A 4th reason that is often added, your holidays are still far away. I don't know if that is the case for you. Your holidays are far away and your trip to, I don't know, Egypt or something closer. So Blue Mondays. So what do you see then on a Blue Monday? That, okay, you see all of these New Year's resolutions that didn't come to fruition and actually are going down the drain. Now, a lot of you don't make New Year resolutions, but maybe you make resolutions, not New Year resolutions, but birthday resolutions. If you fail, what is one of the main reasons that you fail to live up to the resolutions? Why? Why doesn't it work? It's too big. That's a pretty good one. Anything else? Too big. What else? So you underestimated it. Okay, that's a good one as well. Anything else? If you don't make resolutions yourself, think of others that made resolutions and failed miserably. Oh, that could maybe stir things up a little bit. Who else? What could be another reason? Yeah, but it's very close to the underestimation thing. Huh? There's a panoply of things that can happen, and a panoply of reasons why indeed New Year resolutions are not obvious at all. And you have a number of them there. So you have too ambitious, the too big one. Huh? You have somewhere on there it says like no time, okay, because you underestimate the time very probably. But there are a lot of other ones like vision too weak. You don't really have a vision because why you wanted to do this, why this is your ambition, why you want to achieve this. Things like no self-confidence. So you see there are a lot of reasons why New Year resolutions or any resolutions are not kept. And it's only actually 8% of the people, and that's a study of the University of Scranton, that eventually managed to meet their New Year resolutions. So that's not really a big score, and it's getting worse. So that's not good news. All right, of course there's a remedy. And of course I've written this in a book. And so that won't surprise you, right? So the remedy is called the flow model. And it's based upon innovative management practices, and Agile and Lean are important components of that. And it actually starts from the business world where Agile and Lean is used. And I've converted it to the personal world. And I did that by mainly focusing on the 12 Agile Principles that are used in business, software development, business management. And I translated them into 12 Agile Principles for your personal life. I clustered them in 4 different groups. The focus, that it should start with a focus. Then, and then it's about learning. Before diving into your ambition and your resolution, it's important to learn and try to think ahead, because Agile is also about anticipation. We know Agile as let's say the practice that can help us to be very flexible and adaptive. But it's not only about adaptivity, it's also about anticipating things. If you are, for example, you are an Agile coach and you go into companies to do transformation, very probably you don't just dive in and from day one you grab a number of people and you start doing Scrum. You start with a whiteboard, and that's the way that the whole transformation for the company is kicked off. Don't get me wrong, it's important to start off pretty quickly, to have some experiences, but you also need to think about other things, right? You need to think about, okay, what are the roles? Does HR have to be involved? What is the structure? Will we keep the same structure or not? What's the organization model? Do we need to change our processes? If you don't think at all about those things from day one, at a certain moment in time, it'll bite you in the ass. And that's my conviction as well when you're applying agility to your own life, that you should think ahead a little bit. And that's the learning part. Operate is then really doing things, really going in depth in execution. Mind you, originally I thought that the word execute was better, but then I had the acronym FLU, and that doesn't really sound all that good as flow, right? So that's why I put operate here. And then weighing is, that is all about looking back at the end and wondering, did you realize what you wanted to do or not? And how can you make sure that you can do it better next time? So that's the model. Let's dive into the model a little bit. So these are the 12 concepts that are linked to the Agile Principles. First one is about vision. I don't think that will surprise you. If you don't have a vision, it's very difficult to focus. And then when you learn about a number of things, the context that you're in, the environment you are in. How do you want to deal with time? Do you want to rush through things? Should it be done tomorrow? Will you give yourself the time? Priorities. In your life, you have so many things to juggle, right? You have, you already have a family, you have your finances, you have your job, obviously, which takes the biggest chunk out of your time budget, very probably. But there are a lot of things to juggle and take into account. So priority setting is an important one. And then mindset, agile mindset, we talk a lot about that. Agile mindset is supposed to be a growth mindset where you're not stuck into old ideas that never change, but you want to be flexible and adapt yourself to your environment that you're in and to the challenges that you're confronted with. And then a system, you could call it a method, like Scrum is a system, but time management is also a system. Habits management, there are other ones like Lean, Lean Startup. So that's interesting to think about if you have decided to manage your life with Agile. Okay, how will I go about that? How will I do that? And how can I be the most successful? So focus, learning, and then operate is when you dive in. And then you dive in with people. Very often you need people. You can't do it on your own, right? You have to actually really start, but start with the most relevant things, not to take, as you mentioned, too big a chunk. You have to really try and cut up the elephant. And then planning, problem management, measuring, that are things that you continuously do when you try to achieve your ambition, right? And at the end, as we already said, you evaluate. Now, the nice thing is that you saw this roster with these 12 challenges and the 12 reasons why you don't live up to your resolutions, maybe New Year resolutions, maybe other resolutions. Well, the 12 Agile principles that I've just put forward, or the concept behind them, they actually deal with each one of these reasons why you don't manage to get your resolutions right and get them implemented. So the message is here. If you apply the 12 principles, which are Agile principles, you stand a much better chance of being successful and realize your ambitions. Well, I can easily say that, right? But why is it like that? Why can Agile be of help to realize your ambitions? Remember that I said it's getting worse. And why is it getting worse? This is why VUCA. Has anybody heard about VUCA? No? Okay. VUCA, well, the explanation is there. It comes out of the military, and it's actually, it dates from the 60s. The military was feeling uncomfortable because the very straightforward binary model of the Soviet Union versus the United States, well, it wasn't at a certain point in time, it wasn't valid anymore because the States won, right? And they didn't like that. It was not clear where the military world was heading towards, and then they invented the word VUCA. And it means like the word is the world is becoming more volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So this is why, and you see the events that took place last year. Very probably you recognize them: COVID, climate heating, and Ukraine. If we take the example of Ukraine, let's have a look at my clock. 18:53. It's volatile, right? Because you never know if you put your television on what has now happened in Ukraine. It's very volatile. It's also uncertain. Do we know when it's going to stop? I don't think so. Some people say there's a chance of it stopping this year. I don't think so, to be honest. So I think this thing will drag along for some time, but how long? Nobody really knows. Complexity is pretty complex because there are spin-off effects that you wouldn't think of. For example, China is now setting up the petro yuan. Do you know what that is all about? It's like their coin that they, and their money that they want to use it more in buying oil. So they want to obliterate the dollar, and they have already agreements with Saudi Arabia, which is a very important evolution. So this is also linked to the war in Ukraine. So it's pretty complex, and it's also ambiguous, right? Because well, very often Ukraine and Russia both say that they won a battle, and being pretty far from that, you don't actually always know what's the truth. Normally, I think, well, Ukraine is talking the truth more than Putin is, but it's pretty ambiguous and it's pretty volatile. And this is also the case in your personal world. So you do encounter volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, but there is a solution to that. Well, a solution, we can mitigate that. And how can we do that? Well, with Agile. And you see here, there's a concept which is called VUCA prime. It's like an antidote to all these different letters. And you fight against volatility with vision. If everything seems to be moving, then it's important that you still have the same vision. Also in your personal world, well, where do you believe in? If there's a lot of uncertainty, maybe you need to invest a little bit in understanding things a little bit better. Complexity can be countered with clarity. For example, Agile does that well. They chop up time in small pieces, which are called sprints. And at least for a sprint, Agile wants to stabilize things. Like at the beginning of the sprint, we're going to decide what we're going to do. We're going to decide which goal that we want to hit. And we're not going to change that. After that sprint, it's another story. But at least things are clear for one sprint. And then adaptivity, that is mainly the feedback loops that you have in Agile and Lean methodologies. So Agile is clearly, it's an antidote to VUCA. And that's also the reason why each of these Agile principles, they are, let's say, a medicine against all of these reasons why you don't realize your New Year's ambitions. And you can see that VUCA prime has an answer to these things, like not realistic. Okay, try to understand better what it takes to realize your ambitions. No system, you don't have a system. Well, I propose a system with a feedback. You do something, you see what it gives, you see if the results are there. For example, losing weight. You try to lose weight, but you don't know why it doesn't work. Well, measure and try to figure out why you didn't lose the weight that you thought you would lose the last 2 weeks. And okay, go at it again, do another sprint. Giving up too quickly it can be countered by vision. If you give up too quickly your ambitions, you might want to ask yourself, why am I doing this for? I'm trying to lose weight. Why? Because health is important. And if I don't have that as a foundation of my life, things will be more difficult. You see also no planning. Create a plan, which is adaptive, of course, because we're in a VUCA world, but having some kind of planning as a backbone is also a way to deal with these VUCA things. So what I now would like to do, you listened the last half hour to my introduction. I would like you to do an exercise. So I hope you're up for it on a Monday evening. So what we're going to do is that you can see here the 6 different concepts behind the Agile principles, and we're going to only focus at the 6th first, not the 6th last. This is actually the challenge. So you see the different things that can be life challenges: financial issues, health issues, relationship, workplace issues, career pressure, etc., etc. I would like to suggest that you pick one of them, and one that is clearly important for you, that is not too trivial, so not too small, and it should be okay for you to share it with at least one person, because we're going to work in duos. And it's about the 6 first questions, so focus and learn. And I'm going to distribute that for the people that are remote, or you could chat with another person in the meeting, in the remote meeting, or you can do the exercise on your own. The advantage for somebody working remotely and doing it on their own is that you have twice the time. Because for the people working in duo, try to talk about the 2 cases. If you eventually decide that this is not easy, you can just pick one case and talk about that. But the basic idea is to talk about the 2 cases and to create couples or duos. I would say let's first try for 10 minutes, twice. Let's have a look at the clock. Twice 5 minutes. Don't go too much into detail. Maybe try to pick one thing out on each concept, something that you think could help you. For example, time. One of the things that you could talk about there is that, do I really need to do this right now? Is this the right timing for my ambition? for example. So 2 times 5 minutes. If we need a little bit more, I can give you a little bit more, no problem. So just create couples. So you two together, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, perfect. So can you share that? And I'm going to run around a little bit and ask stupid questions, and maybe if things are unclear, I can help you. Also, towards the people that are online, if they have questions, they can put it in the chat, and you can communicate those questions to me. Okay. So let's take it until 7:10. Okay. So it's clear. Try to have a case in mind. That's something that you want to realize, an ambition, something that's important for you. Maybe you have a tough challenge in your life right now and you want to do something about it.
So we choose scope, and like one of these, we ask ourselves.
No. It's you need to take a challenge in your life. Yeah. Something you want to do something about that. Okay. You want to improve the situation. And then the question is, okay, what is a vision around that challenge? What about the time aspect? How do you deal with time? And there are different questions that you can ask around time. You will see that. Also things like the context, your environment that you're in. Is it helping? Is it not helping? Can you change your environment? So you understand the idea?
Yep.
Okay. No, but speak freely. Yeah? It's important that you understand what it's about. And thank you for the markers.
Whoa. I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you do a support challenge, or is an issue in my life?
I think it would be. It would be easier to apply to an issue in your life, but if you can't find one, you can take the example that you just given. But it's I think it will be a better exercise for you if you do it like that. If you think about an issue in your life. And by the way, health is always a popular one. Huh? I mean, if you're 20 years old, maybe you have less health issues, but a lot of us eat too much in the business world, go to restaurants too much, and don't eat healthy and don't run enough and things like that. How are the online people doing? Do you have questions or no? Okay. How many online attendees are there? How many online attendees are there? Okay. And can you come up with something? Okay. Do you have a topic?
Not yet.
All right. You have a perfect life then, if you don't have any of these issues.
It's difficult to have a great
Yeah, pick an issue then, or a challenge that is not on there, but something that you want to tackle this year. Maybe it's building a new house, for example, or renovating. That could be also something that is not necessarily a challenge, but something you have to plan in, and you have to make room in your life for that.
Something I never tried before.
Yeah. Or write a book. Yeah. So indeed, it might not be necessarily a problem, you know. It can be a challenge as well, something you want to do, like write a book. That's not so negative, but it needs attention as well if you want to realize that.
Excuse me, Carl.
Yeah.
How do I bridge the gap?
So you want to get somewhere. You are here right now, and there's a bunch of things you need to do to get there. How do you want to bridge the gap time-wise? Does that, for example, do you? Okay, you know how much time that you will spend. Will you spend 6 months on that or not? Are you patient and is it very important that it's finished or not? How many times per week do you want to spend time on that? So these things.
Thank you.
Please.
Serious. What do you have?
Do you both have a challenge or not yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You found the challenge? Yeah, okay. Do you have challenges in your life?
Talking about so opening a ceramic workshop.
Opening what? Oh, okay.
No, she's
Yeah.
project manager.
Oh yeah, that's a very good one. Yeah. New business. Yeah. Any feedback from our remote people? They're working at it, I think, individually. Yeah. How much time do you think you still need to wrap it up a bit?
Talking all about your life challenge.
A life challenge? Okay. Do you still have?
I'm new here actually.
Ah, yeah.
I didn't start working officially, but I did sign a contract, so I'm also asking questions. And one of her life challenges is actually creating something in the company. So I'm very interested.
In the company. Okay, that's good. That's good. And yeah, is it? Are we going to wrap it up, or in 2 minutes, or in 7 minutes? What do you think is?
2 minutes. I
Yeah?
know how far the other.
Okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. You just have to. There are bubbles that could jump up with things and ideas and challenges of how to realize your ambition. But it doesn't need to be perfect. Do you? It's like if you have an ambition in life, very often, well, it impacts the way you have lived until that moment with also a full agenda. So it tends to push away other life areas. And what is in contention with what you want to do now? You want to build a house, you need to spend more time with an architect and things like that.
Versus the rest.
Yeah, versus the rest. Like how is it impacting other life areas and how are you going to deal with that? That's mainly the thing.
Of course, for example, you want to build a house, so you have first to check with an architect with a plan.
That is also within your goal. You could also, indeed, define priorities. But I think a big challenge as well is prioritizing towards all the other stuff around you that is still going on, right? It's also continuing. But that's an angle. That's also a good angle. No problem. Okay. Is it okay for you if we wrap it up in a minute? I know that very probably most of you have not really finished, but the idea is just to start off the exercise and have some thoughts and give feedback. So after my presentation, you can still finish it if you want. Okay. Anybody have objections that we end the exercise right now? Okay. What was your feeling with the exercise? What did you feel about it? Anybody? No feelings at all. How did it go? Was it easy to find the challenge? For some, not. Yeah, for you, yes. Okay. Maybe I can hear some challenges that you discussed with one another. Who had a work challenge? Okay. It's mixed. Okay, private and work. What is it about? Is it about finding balance or something? Exactly. All right. All right. Never heard that one before. You know, the first time that I hear that. Okay. Who had it in an area that was not related to work? Can you tell me a bit about it?
Yeah. Actually, I used to run a lot, and then I broke my ankle.
Uh-huh.
So I stopped running for a couple of years, and I picked start with 5K, then 10K, then 50K, then 20K. Not very interested with running a marathon or anything, but it's a challenge because it was painful. And so I'm at 5K, baby steps. But yeah, I actually realized that I did kind of already work on those questions.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
Got the fifth one.
Can you be a bit explicit? I think it's interesting for the audience to tell us.
So what do I want to try? 20 kilometers. Where am I now? 5K, as I just said. You told me to respond to the question, how do I bridge the gap? How many times I do a week? 3 times a week.
Okay.
What comes first? Well, baby step number 1, 5K.
Okay.
And which mentality do I need? Honestly, when it's cold outside, just pure motivation. When it's raining and cold, and how do I tackle this? Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Okay. No.
I never really regret not doing it in the morning, but sometimes it's hard.
Yeah. Okay. And is motivation enough? Motivation is very important, right? It's key. I've learned that you need some kind of a mix between motivation and discipline, because you will not have every day the motivation that was there at the start. Whatever you do, there will be one day where you're not motivated. And I think that day you will need to put discipline against that, right? So I believe in combination of motivation and discipline it'll get you there.
With the system I found, because I used to put unrealistic goals sometimes on these kind of challenges, is I have to do it 3 times a week. Now I choose the days. So if one day it's really just not 2 days straight the next time.
Okay. So it's
3 times a week.
so you're saying it yourself. You're saying it's yourself. It's not only motivation; it's also discipline. Yeah. All right.
But I can have the occasional change the days. Leaves a little bit of space.
Okay. Good. Anybody else wants to elaborate a little bit on their challenge? No. Okay. You can still. I'm going to talk a little bit about Bart. Bart is a coachee of mine, and he tried this. And Bart is somebody that has a lot of Agile and Lean experience, but I have been coaching him. But to be honest, to a large extent, he did it himself. He just he understood the principles, the Agile life principles, and he did it to a large extent himself. But I'm going to show you what Bart did and how he thought about all these questions that you have on that paper. Okay, so with Bart, it was mostly about health. And if you see that slide in the States, if people have New Year's resolutions, well, most of the New Year's resolutions have to do with health. You see, exercising more, saving money as an exception, but the next one, eating more healthily, losing weight, reducing stress is also related to health, right? And then getting more sleep. So that's what happens in the States. Now, some people told me that, yeah, that's obvious that it's like that in the States. It's different in Europe, because in the States, you can't count on the health support that you have in Europe, because a lot of people don't have a very firm health insurance. So For Americans, health is it's more important to focus on that than for Europeans. Can be the case. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to go through these 6 different principles, and this is what Bart had in mind. The first one is go for a happy and a full life, related to the question about vision. And the vision thing is the one that he focused on. And what was the answer of Bart? He said, like, you know, my purpose in life is to get the best out of myself. And to get the best out of yourself, you should be energetic. And if I'm not energetic, I'm losing out on opportunities to become better. And so for him, health is really the foundation of his life, and that is the reason, that is the vision behind that. Now, why does he specifically focus on health right now? He's 41 years old, and he has a friend, and this friend the previous year had a heart attack, and that person was somebody who's working extremely hard, not paying attention to his health, not doing exercise, eating in restaurants every day, and that was something that was a trigger to him, to Bart, to focus more on health. And so that was the reason. And I said to him, okay, maybe it's interesting to visualize this a little bit more. So he made a drawing, and health is one of the life areas for him that is key, because it's a foundation for all these other things to do. And you see here what is important to him. You see giving training, learning stuff, playing together with his children. Bart has 2 children, by the way, has a wife that he loves dearly. So that was the most important thing for him, to have a clear vision, so that the motivation would continue to be there, to do exercises, to eat a little bit less, to eat more healthy, to make sure that his weight is going down. And all the other stuff that is on here are things that he thought about, like, what is my strategy? His strategy is to, and we talked about that, about habits. His strategy was to ingrain as much habits as needed to be more healthy. Also having a certain rhythm when he goes walking. So you did that well, actually. It's he also focused a lot on strategy. You see the things here that are in bold are strongly related to Agile and Lean, like vision, live teams in I don't know if you are aware of that, but that in Agile at scale, you have things like investment teams, the big things in a company where you want to invest in. And the parallel here is with live teams, and health is a very important live team for Bart. And then you have the epics, which are the different aspects of health. So these were the things that he focused on. Second one, the context matters. So he was wondering, where am I? What is my environment? What are my limitations? And am I extrinsically or intrinsically motivated? Actually, he was intrinsically motivated, but it helped that he promised his wife to lose 5 kilos by the next quarter. So there was a bit of an extrinsic motivation, which was good. My environment, he had an issue with his environment, actually, because he was working for a customer who was extremely demanding, who was coming up with new deadlines all the time, very close to the deadline. And he actually decided for himself, well, to have a good talk with the customer. The customer is important, obviously. And as externals, you're also always expected to do a little bit more than internal people. But he also said to the customer, like, we're introducing Agile here, and Agile is about a sustainable pace, where it's not a sustainable pace for me. I'm stressed out when I'm home because it's very turbulent. And when I get home, I dive into the closet to eat a bag of chips. And then I'm jumping in front of my TV. I'm not all that friendly towards my wife. So I need to find a new balance. Can we talk about that? So that's what context can be about. And you have your environment, you have your family, you have your colleagues. If you think something is not working, talk to them about that. Understand the key role of time. There's a lot of things that you can think about, like what I'm doing right now is having all these restaurant lunches. Is this good for me in the long run? And what about long term? Will it be good for me in the long run? Is this the right time to focus on my health? Because do I have the time to focus on that, because there's still this very demanding customer? But Bart decided, yes, I mean, this is the right time. I have to do it right now, because otherwise I could end up like my friend. Thoughts like lack of time, how fast does he want to change? Talking about the experiences he had in the past, because he failed in the past as well with trying to lose some pounds. Estimating the time that is needed, to go out and run, to go out and do some exercise, creating a certain rhythm in his exercise as well. That was all important, but the most important thing was that he decided to apply a stepwise approach, and he decided to introduce Scrum, and every week he was looking into how far he had gotten with his ambition, and he planned in the week after. So each week there was a new goal, and it was about metrics, it was about the calories that he's lost, but it was also about how he did things, and how he prepared for the running, how he solved problems, like if he was late at home due to work, how did he cope with that? So the stepwise approach, that was the thing that was the most important for him. Here we have Scrum and Kanban, so those were the methodologies he used. He actually used Scrumban, which is a combination of Scrum and Kanban. What are the priorities? All of these things are worthwhile thinking about. Stakeholder management, what are my stakeholders? It's mainly his wife. Dependencies, what do you depend upon? Well, he depended upon the agenda of his spouse, because if she also had a professional life, and if she had an agenda issue that impacted him, due to which he couldn't run, well, he needed to manage that. Competition, it's competition with other life areas. He wanted to drink less alcohol. But what did he do then with the Friday evenings, where he played soccer with his friends, and every Friday evening in the past, it was really binge drinking, and he loved that so much. So, but he promised himself not to drink that much. So how should he solve that? The most important thing he did here was create a backlog of all the things he could do to improve his health, and that was eating differently, that was exercising more, that is being less stressful. And he put a priority in that, so that it was easier for him every sprint to tick off something from this list of to-dos. I'm not going to get into that one. This is an overview of PBIs, product backlog items that you have in corporate organizations. You could map that to your personal world as well. For example, non-functional requirements could be something linked to health, but which is not really content oriented towards one specific facet of health. It could be, do you have a good doctor? I mean, do you have good insurance when you end up in a hospital? You could call them non-functional requirements, right? So he thought about that as well. Adopting a strong mindset. Now, I did an analysis with him. We scored the different let's say mindset aspects of Bart, and it says strong if you take the first letter of each column: self-consciousness, tenacity, relevance, organization, networking, and growth orientation. That was his score. And you see where he scored the least was on focus and habits driven. So that he made sure that he read a lot about habits, how habits work. And he also made sure to focus more on things. He would also always say yes when a friend says, do you want to go out with me? And that might be then in Brussels, which was 40 kilometers away. And sometimes he was asked to go with a friend, for example, to the car exposition in Brussels. He didn't like cars. So in the past he would have said yes. And now he just said like, well, I'm going to skip this one. You know, it's all about focus, and that's one thing that he has been working on to make himself stronger. So to improve his organization skills, because that's what focus is all about. It's about organization skills, and that's what habits are all about as well. It's about organizing yourself better. And then finally, it won't surprise you, he applied Scrum, but he also actually dove deeply into what habits management is, and I want to show you a video here.
So if you're like me, you probably have at least a few bad habits you would like to break, but it's tough because no matter how hard I try, I seem to slip back into the same old routines again and again.
In the last decade, we've learned a lot about how habits work.
That's Charles Duhigg, author of the book, The Power of Habit.
And in particular, we've learned the neurological structure of a habit.
He says that we tend to think of habits as a single thing, but actually,
each habit has three components. There's a cue, which is like a trigger for a behavior to start. And then there's a routine, which is the behavior itself. And then finally, a reward, which is how our brain learns to encode that automatic behavior for the future. And one of the big differences is that for years when people thought about habits, they focused in on the routine, on the behavior. But what we now know is that it's these cues and these rewards that really shape how habits occur and how to change them.
And Charles says that whether we like it or not, this kind of habit formation is endemic to our brain.
And what it will do is our brain will latch onto a cue that it associates with a behavior and a particular reward. And over time, that cue and that reward become more and more and more sort of intertwined. A particular part of your brain named the basal ganglia will relate them together. And the behavior that's associated with that will just sort of happen automatically.
But Charles says the good news is we can also use this knowledge to our advantage.
There was a big study that was done about how to create exercise habits. And so what they did is they told a group of people, okay, first of all, choose an obvious cue. Always go running at the same time every day, or put your workout clothes next to your bed so that you see them first thing when you wake up. And then they said, and then go for a run or go work out. And when you get back from exercising, give yourself a small piece of chocolate. Now, this is kind of counterintuitive, right? Because people who are exercising are trying to lose weight, not eat more chocolate. And yet what the researchers knew is that their brain needed that reward. Their basal ganglia needed some reward. And what they found was that people who ate a small piece of chocolate after coming home from a run or a workout, they were much more likely to start exercising habitually.
So according to Charles, whether you want to break a habit or start a new habit, the key is to divide the habit into its component parts, cue, routine, and reward, and design it for the result that you want.
Hey guys, my name is Kirsten from
That's enough. All right. Okay. All right. That's about habits. Right. And then you have the 6 other ones, right? But we're not going to swamp you with that. But the thing is, okay, you've prepared a little bit by answering all of those questions and trying to think ahead by anticipating. And then you have to do it, right? And I don't know who said, like, I'm not going to use it, just do it. And indeed, you have to just do it at a certain point in time. But next to anticipating and adapting, which is let's say, the flexible part of Agile, there's also experimentation. So you have these 2 first steps, like working with people and starting off, where you still have some room for experimentation, like what will work, what will not work. So in your first sprints, this is the right time to do experiments. How do I motivate others? How do I involve others? And it's really like listening. You have thought about things before, but maybe the mindset of your stakeholders is different and you have to have them along as well. So it's very important to talk with them and to discuss together on how you will make how you will realize your ambitions for the new year, how to start. And then afterwards, of course, you dive into that. You need to plan, but you need to plan intelligently, meaning that a plan doesn't mean anything. Planning means something. It's like continuously replanning. How do you deal with problems? How will you measure progress? Those are all important things when you're doing the stuff, when you're executing. And at the end, you have to ask yourself the question, how well did I do? So at the end, there should be a room for celebration, or maybe to recharge your batteries if you didn't end up realizing your goal. Maybe you want to continue and push ahead anyway, but you need to ask yourself then, how can I recharge myself? And very often the answer is in the motivation. Also, something very interesting to do is a sailboat retrospective. I don't know if you know what a sailboat retrospective is. In Agile, we often use that. It's like you have a sailboat and you ask yourself, the island that I wanted to get to, is it still there? Is it still the island, the same island I want to get to? Did I have the wind in my sails or not? Or did I forget to pull up the anchor, due to which I was slowed down? And are there any rocks that are sticking out of the waterline, due to which, yes, these are actually risks that I had to confront. So that's a sailboat retrospective. And there's also the circle of influence. You might wonder, like, things, you have the impression that a lot of things are happening outside of your control. Is it true that they're outside of your control? Because this can be the case, huh? What can we do about the war in Ukraine? Very little, I think. But maybe you can have some influence on these things. So these are typical questions at the end of your adventure that you should ask yourself to be able to be better prepared for your next ambitions. So that's the last step. I'm not going to show that one. Wrap up, because it's 1931. So the Agile Lean mindset, principles and practices can be applied to your personal life. Do you have the idea that this is true after what you heard now? Yeah? Okay. So try the flow approach. So focus on the right things, learn, operate, and weigh the outcome. Customize it to your own specific situation. Huh? I mean, there is not one recipe that will work automatically for you. So you really need to think about how you will apply the approach and continuously improve. Maybe by using sprints, week per week, quarter per quarter. You could also see what your evolution is. You can have quarterly targets, as we often do in Agile at Scale. You have things like program increments on a quarterly basis, where you have your ambitions that you want to realize, and then you check, did I realize my quarterly ambitions? And year after year, if you continue to use this approach, you will improve and be better at realizing your dreams. So that's it. Thank you very much. You have the book on Amazon Kindle that you could download. You can send me an email, give me a call. I'm also working on a second book, which goes a little bit more into detail. If you want to be involved with that, just give me a call or send me a message. And okay, I'm going to wrap up, but not without asking you about the roti. Anybody is puzzled to see that? Of course. I mean, and the people online, they only see this, right? Okay. So the idea of the roti is not to eat a piece of meat. It's like giving feedback with two hands from 0 to 10. Can you give 0? Yeah, you can. Okay. And give a score about this presentation. If you think you have wasted your time completely, give a 0. If you think like, my time isn't that badly spent with this presentation, you should give a higher score. But it's on 10, and we all do it at the same time, right? So I'm going to count down from 5 to 0, and then you show both hands. If you only give a 4, you only need one hand, but I hope that doesn't happen. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, all right. 7, 10, okay, all right, okay. Who has 6? I'm going to look at the outliers. Huh? Do you have 6? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take an outlier towards the bottom. So please, what do you think can be improved in the presentation and in what I brought?
I don't have any concrete suggestions. I just think a lot is. I mean, I read a lot about self-improvement in general, anyway. So a lot of it is rehashed.
Yeah. So I warned you for that.
Yeah, that's why I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, you asked whether it was a waste of time.
Yeah. Okay.
But then I think if someone doesn't read as much as self-improvement or is aware of the space that much, they will give a higher score naturally.
Yeah. Okay. No, fair enough. Thank you very much. And who can somebody that gave a 10? Who can give feedback on the 10? Because I saw some 10s here.
Give a 10.
Or a 9. Maybe a 9? Yeah.
I give a 9 because I think indeed the agile process could be applied in our personal life.
Yeah.
And the idea of using sprint is a good way to reach your goals. First, to split your main goal with many different user story, and then to put that in sprints. Maybe not short sprints like we use in the business, like 2 weeks. But I see that it could be applicable for a longer sprint, like 1 month or quarter. And for me, it's good.
Okay, so you thought it had added value. Okay. Anybody else who had who wants to say something? I want to learn here. You know, it's about learning. Agility is about learning, improving. What did you appreciate, or what can I improve? One more person, one more feedback, and yeah.
Just wondering if it's more of a question. I'm wondering if you're familiar with the theme system popularized by CGP Grey.
Theme system.
The theme system.
No, I don't.
Anyone heard of it? It's kind of a take on New Year's resolutions. It kind of rehashes a lot of what you touched on, but talks more about what you would call vision. So you could imagine it being called the vision system. And it's a lot about focusing, instead of focusing on a particular goal, rather focusing on the global vision, on a particular theme. Right?
Okay.
So maybe instead of the example he gives, maybe instead of you want to learn Japanese, for example, and you're setting yourself up for a very specific goal, which can then kind of break down if you don't end up learning Japanese, or if you feel like you're not making good enough progress. But if you instead you give yourself the theme, the year of Japan, for example, you might end up being happy. Okay, I didn't learn Japanese, but I learned a lot about Japanese culture. I traveled to Japan. I always wanted to do that. And it's a lot about rewarding yourself from what you did accomplish, instead of beating yourself up over not accomplishing your goal.
Okay. That's interesting what you say, because the first one is vision, and I think that's a vast domain, and you are also a lot of product designers here, right? And if you do product design, it's a lot about vision, and I have so it touches on vision, what I wrote in the book, but it's a very vast domain. And I think this one, designing your life, I don't know if you know that one. This is a complete book about how you could really determine vision, because it sounds very easy to determine your vision, but only, for example, think about you're unhappy in your job, you want to do a new job, but you don't want to necessarily do the same profession. I mean, you have to create a vision for that, and it's not that easy. It's about hypothesis, it's about prototypes, it's about thinking things, and maybe it's about making things bigger and thinking in terms of a team rather than this very isolated thing. So I completely agree that it can be very interesting, and if you could send me actually the reference,
of course,
I will happily read that.
It got pretty popular, so I think you can even like just come across it if you Google theme system.
Yeah.
But I've myself like discovered it in just about 2018 or 2019 when it came out.
Yeah.
Applied it 3 years in a row. I'm on my 4th year, and it's going really, really well.
Okay, that might be something that I integrate in my next book. Thank you very much. So if you're interested, you can go to Amazon Kindle. It's only €8, I think, and you have the book. Or send me an email, because the physical book is not on Amazon Kindle, then I can provide you with the physical book. Thank you very much, and okay, I guess.
All right, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Carl, for taking the time to prepare, to come here to share your thoughts. I hope you all can take some takeaways to have a more agile life. Thanks to Carl. I have noted some, and I thank you for that. So I suggest we continue the questions around the bar. Thanks again, and have a good evening, everyone.
My pleasure. Yeah.